Mars bar protein slice. I wonder if that can be done.
Everybody up and say,
Yes, it can. Say it again. Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
You know what? Let's do it. What's happening YouTube? It's Angus here. Thanks so much for stopping by to click on this video, and welcome to my very first recipe video for 2020. It's been a little while since I've made an actual recipe video. Obviously I come up with all sorts of sick food creations all the time, but yeah, like it's been a little while since I've actually made a recipe video. You guys are giving some sick feedback both on YouTube and on my social media that you guys love recipes, which is cool because obviously with the way that I go about making recipes, it's kind of like making more macro-friendly versions of the classic. So if you go into the YouTube channel itself, you'll see that there's actually a playlist called macro-friendly recipes, and that's where you can check out some of my big heavy hitters. Like I've got literally all sorts of stuff, mostly sweet-based stuff, but if you guys want to see some more savory-based recipes and that sort of thing, let me know in the comments below. But the reason why typically I, am all over it with making sweet-based videos is because, well, all these teeth are sweet, meaning I love making, sweet-based stuff. So in this video today, we're going to be rocking out with basically a macro-friendly version of the classic Mars bar slice. Now, I've got some sick memories of Mars bar slice. Hey, like, I remember my dear mother, she used to, back when I was in primary school, you know how obviously you go on excursions and stuff like that. My primary school did this cool thing as part of getting students good at learning how to cook, where I think it was like each week or maybe once each month, there would be a specific student's mum who came in. There was usually about 3 or so that came in, and they would teach how to make a specific thing to the class. And I remember my mum, she taught us how to make Mars bar slice. So typical Mars bar slice, if you're not familiar, is really simple. Like, it's got rice bubbles, which is a cereal here in Australia, so it's got rice bubbles, it's got a couple or a few Mars bars, it's got a shit ton of butter, and then it's usually got sugar and honey. And yeah, so it pretty much contains no element of protein or good nutrition about it at all, but it tastes fucking glorious. Oh my gosh.
really, the only word for it is...
So what I've tried to do with this video, and this recipe in particular, like it just came to me out of nowhere, like, how can I create a macro-friendly version of the classic Mars bar slice, because I haven't really seen it done well online. And I've done it, I've come up with it, it's sick, it's so nice, seriously, like it gives you that Mars bar sense. Without Mars bars, it's got a lot of protein. With making this whole lot, it serves 8, so that way, like the macros are decent. And with each one, it's got more than 10 grams of protein. So, well and truly something you can have as a snack or as part of dessert or whatever. In my case, I usually mostly just have it with, for dessert with some other shit alongside it. So yeah, it tastes really, really nice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump to the kitchen now. Make sure you follow along. Remember, this is a video recipe and it will have the quantities and stuff on the actual video itself. If you are keen for the actual written and you don't actually really give a shit about the following along with me and that sort of thing, well, you can just easily just jump into the comments and you can check it out there. All right, and follow along. Really hope you get some sick value from checking this out. I really love it. I've made it a few times now, tried and tested. It's sick. Obviously, if you do make it, tag me on social media. Do it for the burgers. Would love to see how yours goes and if it tastes better than mine. And without further ado, let's go head into the kitchen.
Yo ho ho, and welcome to voiceover Angus mode. So get excited. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. And obviously, welcome to high protein Mars bar slice. So to kick off this, you're going to need only just a few different things, 6 things in total. So to start with, get your saucepan set over some nice low heat, and break up the 2 protein bars that you have rolled with. For myself, the reason why I've actually chosen these 2 Musashi based bars is simply because, well, I've found that the high protein Mars bars that you can get, they're like, I saw them for like $4.50 or $5 each, whereas these ones that I've used here, I know they taste nice, they've got better macros, they've got less calories, and yeah, they were only like $2 or $2.50 each, so hashtag bargain, yo. So I rolled with 2 of them, and basically what you're going to be doing first is you're going to break it up, and then you're going to have it over the low heat with the goal to obviously, well, melt it, just as if you were trying to melt a Mars bar. Now, naturally, normal Mars bars, they're pretty much just, well, yeah, fat and carbs and sugar, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but obviously with this trying to be a macro-friendly recipe, we want to have more protein and less calories per serve in comparison to normal Mars bar slice. So yeah, now to be able to make this, in terms of this component, we're going to be adding some Nutellex. Now this is a dairy-free form of, I guess you can call it butter if you want, but I use 50 grams, and the purpose of this is to be able to help the protein bars be able to melt properly. And actually what's going to happen is that, yeah, well, obviously it's going to melt gradually, and your goal is to basically smush the wooden spoon into the protein bars, to gradually get them to, well, yeah, like, I guess you can call it like fall apart, or, you know, become kind of one with the melted butter, and yeah, do it over consistent low heat, just as if you were trying to make like a ganache or something like that. The 2 protein bars that I chose were, obviously Musashi. The 2 that I chose were, there was a peanut butter flavored one, so it was a peanut butter crunch, and the other one was a milk chocolate brownie. So these are both high protein, which is obviously why I chose them. You could use any sort of other protein bar that you like. It's just a means of obviously being wary that the macros would be different based on what you use. These 2 that I got were just from Woolies in the health aisle. And yeah, they weren't even on special. I believe I just got them for $2.50 or $2 each, I think it was, from memory. So yeah, in comparison to normal high protein Mars bars, yeah, saved a decent amount. I pretty much got 2 for 1, if you will. So once you've been able to get this all combined nicely, basically it's just a means of getting it down to almost to the point where it's all combined in like a melted chocolate. It's not going to quite get that way, but this is what you want it to get looking like in terms of what you see just here. And yeah, set it aside, and then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding the Nutri Grain, which is the cereal of choice. Normal Mars bars, I mean not normal Mars bars, normal rice bubbles is fine, but they're basically just carbs. They don't really have too much nutrients about them. So the reason why we're choosing protein is because it's obviously a very high protein cereal. It's one of the highest protein cereals you can get. Obviously Special K could be a substitute, or you could try with All Bran, which I've tried before, but you know, naturally Nutri Grain has a bit of sugar and it's a nice carb source, so this contributes to the high protein count of this recipe. Then what you're going to be doing is, or even before that, if you have a dog, trust me, like dogs love Nutri Grain. It must just be something about it, but my boy always loves hanging about while I'm doing some cooking or baking, and he's really good at helping lift the bowls as well, so he is. But yeah, so over low heat, just continue combining the Nutri Grain with the mixture that we were just working with. The goal is to get it so that every bit of Nutri Grain has a bit of the good stuff on it, so that way, well, it's going to contribute to everything sticking together and forming properly when we are pressing it into the baking dish. Now, obviously this isn't going to get baked. All you're going to be doing is just bombing it in the fridge later on. So you'll see that I in this frame here, I have some baking paper. The idea of this is that it's easier to get the whole entire thing out once we have basically left it sitting in the fridge or the freezer, as opposed to just spraying it or putting some oil or some butter or greasing it or whatever. This is a nice, easy way to go about it. So once you've got it all combined, the next step is to basically put it all into your baking tray or whatever you've got set up, and then basically press it all in so that it's all nice and firmly pressed together. Naturally, with something like this, I'd probably just suggest using a wooden spoon, or you could use the back of a teaspoon or a tablespoon that's been wet so that it doesn't stick to it. But I thought, hey, save washing up, do it this way. And press it in nicely so that it goes to all the edges of the dish that you've got set up, because you want to make sure that it's fairly flat as best possible. You can see there that it's all nice and caramelly looking. That's because, well, we melted the Mars, we melted the protein bars nice and effectively. You could, if you wanted to, add some honey to that mixture that we did before. I've done that before, but I find that this is pretty, sweet enough to get the good taste rolling. And as you can see there, it's nice and evenly pressed. Now the next layer we're going to be doing is basically, if you think about Mars bars, they've got that nougat-y type layer, then they've got a caramelly type layer, and they've got chocolate on top. So rather than doing caramel, which we could do, but this is like the idea of this recipe is so that it's got lots of nice protein. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be using some powdered peanut butter chocolate flavor. This is by PB2. You can get this from iHerb, which is a site online, and you can get it from quite a few retailers as well. You're going to be using 6 tablespoons. And I forgot to say as well with Nutri Grain, I forgot to say how much you're going to use. You're going to use 3 cups, alright? But with this PB2, so you've got 6 tablespoons of dry mix, and you're going to gradually start incorporating the water. Key word there being gradually, because you'll find that it can be like people, when they're trying to make PB2 paste or whatever, they can easily put too much water or not enough. And the best way to get around that is to just add it gradually, little bit by bit, and then just consistently stirring until you get all the lumps out. So as you can see here, it's just a means of being patient and going along and just gradually beating out those lumps. So in other words, it's gonna work out your forearms quite a bit. Hashtag arm day, yo. It's probably going to take you about a minute or so in terms of consistent stirring to be able to get a good consistency. You can see there that I've almost got it to the point that it's kind of like the consistency of a nice dressing, kind of. I don't even know what you'd say, but as you can see, it's fairly runny, but it's also semi-thick. And then it's just a means of pouring it over your base mix. I just used the bowl and then just did it in a nice line, and then you'll find that because Nutri Grain is kind of like a brick and you've got little bits of holes everywhere in between the different Nutri Grain bricks, the peanut butter mixture would just seep its way down into the holes of the base layer, which is awesome because it means that when you chop this up later on, you're going to get that nice peanut butter taste through, with the base layer. And it's just really nice because it's going to be varying textures as well in terms of contrast, because the base is going to be you're going to get those crunches and stuff, and then the middle layer is going to be nice and caramelly but tastes like peanut butter. Then obviously the top layer, you're going to be working with some chocolate, so basically use any dark chocolate of choice. The one that I used was a full block of dark cooking chocolate from Aldi, so it was in special, so happy days. There's not necessarily any one that's better than anything else, it's just a means of how well it melts. So you're going to break it all up, and then you're going to, over low heat, I just use the same saucepan. You're just going to stir it over low heat consistently, and by consistently, I really mean consistently, because if you leave it, it can easily curdle and separate and that sort of stuff. I've seen that happen in MasterChef sometimes and all sorts of cooking shows. You want to consistently be on the boil with stirring it, so that way, you can just get all the lumps out of the chocolate. What you could do as a backup option if you wanted to is you could do it in the microwave for increments of like 30 seconds and then just give it a stir, roll it back into 30 seconds again, give it a stir. You could do it that way, but I prefer to do it this way. That way I can easily kind of watch it from over the top to make sure that it is done properly. Now, as you can see here, we've got no lumps. It's just a nice, it's nice and runny. It's perfectly melted, and we're ready to drizzle it over the top of the entire thing, really. If I were you, just layer it across. Depending on the sort of baking tray that you're using, you may be able to get it to the point where you can completely cover the whole thing in chocolate. I barely managed to do so, and that was with 200 grams of chocolate, but hey, either way it looks sick. You could even use a stick and do like that marble type effect thing or whatever, but either way, as long as you use all the chocolate and then cover it across, you're laughing. Now, at this sort of stage, you've pretty much done the bulk of the prep work in terms of making this. All you're going to need to do is just basically bomb it in the fridge. Ideally leave it overnight or for a few hours, or you could bomb it in the freezer for an hour because you just want everything to set. And then if you were doing it that way, you would take it out for a few minutes before slicing it up into 8. The macros for this, in terms of the actual breakdown per 1/8 of this entire recipe, is 318 calories. It's got just under 15 grams of fat. It has 26.3 grams of carbs, 16 grams of protein, and no fiber. Sad times. But yes, that's per 1/8 of the recipe. Fairly decent serves. And this tastes so nice, guys. Seriously. So if you can follow along with this, you should be pretty sweet to be able to make this yourself. And obviously it's just the patience of letting it set and cool down, and then Bob's your uncle.
we go, fam. Hope you got some sick insights for how fairly simple it is to make a high protein based Mars bar slice. Obviously, as you saw there, we use Nutri Grain instead of the classic rice bubbles. We use some protein bars as opposed to the conventional Mars bars that is in a Mars bar slice. So yeah, it's not really overly difficult to be able to make this one. So in other words, if you're a dumb fuck with cooking, you shouldn't really have any dramas being able to follow along with me. Obviously, if you make this yourself and it turns out sick and it tastes really good, I'd love to hear how you went. Tag me in social media. Do it for the burgers, or if you're on Facebook, tag me, Angus Fairbairn. And yeah, really hope you make this. It's seriously so good. And it's super easy to make. It's just a means of having the patience to let it all set in the fridge or bomb it in the freezer if you want it to set faster, so that way you can get stuck into it. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you like this recipe and you reckon it was a sick video, give it some love. If you're new to the channel and you haven't kind of seen some of my videos before, highly suggest you just check out the videos upload section. There's heaps of cool stuff to check out. Lots of content around flexible fat loss and just unconventional stuff that you probably haven't seen before. So I'd highly suggest you check out my other videos and subscribe, because why wouldn't you? My videos are sick. And follow in my social media journey. You can check out my handles in the description below the video. And maximize the comment section if you have any questions around this recipe itself. And other than that, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out. Thanks for watching. See you next time in the YouTube world.